Hmm. Okay, that looks better. Good morning, or close to afternoon slash afternoon. Yeah, I ate lunch early today, so okay. So I don't have any big projects to work on today. I'm still waiting to hear back from the land plushies owner and then the robot. So I can't do any more work on them today, not until I get a reply. So I think what I'm going to do, just because I have so many of the so I made all the narwhals yesterday so I could take them in to sell. But I do have a bunch of little bats that are mostly finished. They're just currently headless. So I'm gonna finish up these guys first, so that then I can label them and take them in to sell as well. I do need to remember to take pictures of them before I drop them off, though, because some of these guys I don't have nice pictures of, and I do want to be able to list them up online as well, just so that people can like buy them there as well. Although I've been selling more bats in person than I have in 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 my Etsy store or anything like that. So, and I have one extra white head that I made a while ago. This is with the little wedding ring ears. She doesn't have a body, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with her. I ran out of white fabric when I was making her, so I just made the head with the intention of making the body later, and I never actually did that. Hello, Panda. I'm going to be working on bats. My other goal, if I finish all of these bats, just sewing the heads on, which really shouldn't take me that long. It's just busy work, and again, my least favorite part of plushie making, doing all that little hand sewing at the end. But if I get all of these guys sewn up quickly, I can then either make more bats, which would just be from all the fabric that I pre-cut. So I just have bags full of fabric bits, so I could make like some coffee bats or some watermelon bats, things like that. But if I'm not feeling that, the other thing I may be thinking of doing today is the little frog that's down there. I have, well, I pointed to the bat there. Oh well. I have a little app game on my iPad that is really dumb and like just a time waster, and I love it. And it's called Pocket Frogs, and it's got these little tiny round frogs in it, and you just jump them around on lily pads, and that's literally it. That's the entire game. But they're really cute. So I was thinking of trying to make something kind of like that, where I just make a very round, chunky little frog. And then for the little legs on them, I'd be doing something very similar to the bat legs here, where it's just the tiny little toes on a little flat foot stuck in there. So I would probably do like a small little foot for the front and then a much longer one with longer toes for the back there. So I'm going to try and maybe pattern that up. I could do it two different ways, and the easiest way would just be to make like two pieces of fabric, and then when you stuff them, they become like puffed up like a little pillow. The other way would be put a flat bottom on them, and then for the top, you use two parts and you kind of curve them so that it would be curved on top and flat on the bottom. So I'm debating which design I want to do. The completely flat one would be super easy because that's basically draw an oval and sew two ovals together. That's it. That's all it would take. But I think giving it a little bit of roundness on the top might be cute. So I'm gonna consider doing that instead. Ooh! Good luck, Sunbay. Yeah, take care of how that is much more important than stuffy bats. So yeah, bats, potentially more bats, or bats, and then frog. And then frog, I've got a couple of different plans. I'll probably like on stream try and do like the rounded top one, just so that I can like make a pattern on stream. But we'll see how that goes. That will be a little bit of testing, and I'm not sure how many more projects I want going at the exact same time. I already have 6.5 buckets. Well, one bucket is just full of my resin stuff because I have to make a resin bit. So yeah, 6 buckets and a resin project, which is really small and I've just been putting off. The first one didn't turn out quite right. The color was off, so I wanted to remake it, and then I just lost steam at that. So it really would take not that much time at all. Probably less than 2 hours to set it all up and then just let the resin harden. But I actually have to do that, and I haven't. So I'm not sure if I want to add in another frog bucket of project to do. So I'll probably do like one test of the frog, and if it doesn't work, I'll just scrap it and go the flat frog, and we'll try that one next. But okay, I'm gonna get started on sewing some bat head. Okay. I do need black for this guy. Oh, this guy has his head already, but he has an issue on his wing where part of the fabric came out. So I want to be able to tuck that back in and just stitch up the corner there so he stays nice and like together. He doesn't rip any further. So that's why he's got his nice wing piercing there. That's just to remind me that there's an issue. And this one is just covered in fluff. So I need black, I've got white, dark blue, and gold. Close enough. Okay. I already have white on my needle because I sewed this one's head on last night. So he's all done. This bat is named Garnet. Or is it Amethyst? Oh, I forget which one. It's named after a gemstone because I've got like the marble with the crystals on the inside. So it was supposed to be like a little geode bat. I don't remember if I named it. I think it was probably Amethyst. Garnet's usually red. So yeah, Amethyst here. That bat. These, I believe, are the last 2 amethysts I will actually ever make. The fabric in the wings I got from Joanne Fabrics, and I don't think they make this one anymore. Or if they do, they don't sell it at the store, any of the 3 stores close to me. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get something like this. I was considering, though, finding like a just some other fabric with like crystals on it in different colors so I could make like birthstone bats. A little bit hard to find, and the place I was looking for them was Spoonflower, and Spoonflower is not like, I'm not sure what exactly their whole thing is. They might be shutting down, moving to I think it's Shutterfly purchased them. I don't remember off the top of my head. Some other site purchased Spoonflower like 2 years ago, and they're now closing down Spoonflower, but they're like, don't worry, everything's going to be available just on a different site now. I don't know if that's certain, like if that's actually going to happen or not. So I'm a little bit wary about buying something from Spoonflower and then not ever being able to get it again. I do like to try and buy enough of the fabric so that I can make like at least a dozen bats, and that's like a full yard of fabric. Potentially more than that if they're super popular. Like Nova here, this dark blue with space and glitter in their wings. That bat, I think I've sold probably 30 of that one. Like space bats, very, very popular bats. Okay, I've trimmed off all my little threads. There's always threads, like I don't let my machine knot the thread on these ones because they are visible. So I have to cut them myself. Otherwise, normally when I'm sewing, my machine takes care of all the knotting and cutting for me. But it does make a knot, and I don't want the visible knot. So I get little trails on the 2 points of the wings, and then on the bottom of the wings here, and on the top there. So, and a little bit on the head here. Okay. So when I attach the heads, there's a seam going up the belly on these guys just to give it that round shape. So if you follow that straight up to the edge, that is the center part. I always start there on the faces because, again, I have a tendency to rotate heads as I attach them. So I want to start in the most important spot, which is just make sure the bat is looking forward. That way I don't tip it sideways or anything like that. Then the other part of the head here, along the back, so there's this gusset right through the center down to the back, and it ends right here. I make sure that those actually line up with the wings. And I can pin both of those in place. And then there's a pin going through the back there, and another one here. Okay. And then again, I'm just doing a little ladder stitch all the way around. Trying to keep my stitches parallel as I go up. And this is just pretty much my busy work. Okay. And then when I get to where the corner of the wing is on these guys, because I really don't want their heads to come off or anything like that, I do tie a knot right there. And I can remove that pin and move the wing out of the way and continue around. There is a little loop of thread left from the sewing up the body sides there, so I'm going to just trim that out. And then I want to make sure that that pin is where it's supposed to be, because that will keep the head back centered as well. And then just tiny little stitches all the way around. I'll tie another knot when I get to the other wing there. Move that in. We're still centered. Pull everything nice and tight. Make sure none of the stitches are visible. Looking good there. And I can tie a knot right there as well. That way the head's going to be secured at 3 different points, where I began and end, and then both of the shoulders where the wings are. And I don't want to get a thread loop. There we go. And then I'm going to just continue around to the front again. You know, I did not post on social media that I was making things. I should do that. Oops. Oh, hang on. I'm going to finish up this guy's little head so that I can tie a knot. And then I'm going to make a post on Twitter and Instagram. I have almost 500 followers on Instagram. That is phenomenal. My account's been around for years. Like, it's not, like, fantastic. Like, wow, amazing, I just got them. No, but, like, I'm still very excited about it. Okay, so then to attach the ears, I'm actually going to use this same thread. Now that I've tied the knot, it's not really going anywhere there. So I'm going to come up through the head to where the ear needs to attach. And to figure that out, I just pull the edge of the ear straight up to the edge of the gusset there. So I'm going to just stuff the needle through, straight through his brain. And wait for it to come out in the right spot. There it is. Okay. So there we go. That's how I'm going to attach the ear. In the actual pattern, what you're supposed to do is pull the ear over and then sew down this entire line where the ear touches the top there. I don't do that. I just pin the front part here so that the ear kind of floats freely. It's quicker, and I also think it looks cuter in that the ear goes more forward rather than being pulled back. So that's just personal preference. I think it looks better with the ear like this rather than the ear like that. So, yeah. But now that I've gotten to right here, Let me grab my phone because I'm gonna make social media posts because I'm fantastic at things like this. Here we go. Pile of bats. And fold them out. Let's see. Bats. Okay. And then Twitter post as well. Okay, I am going to put my little bat heart. Okay, there we go. Woo! Success. Okay, now I can go back to the ears. So that ear comes right up to there. And then to make sure the ears both line up, I kind of hold the face sideways, just the points on either side there, and pull the thread straight across. Then just check and make sure that that looks right and that the eyes and that thread are indeed parallel. And then I'm going to just add a little pin right there, and I can actually sew the ear down now. So I don't need a pin on this side because the thread's already there. So I just go through the front here, catch his nose in the thread, we don't want that. And then another little loop there. And there we go. His ear is stitched down. I tie a knot there just to hold it all in place. I used to go through the ear twice, because I thought that would be holding it on even better than just one loop. But what I found is that one of the loops would always be a little bit looser than the other loop through the ear, which meant that there was only one thread actually holding the ear down still, but then there was also a little loop of thread at the edge of the ear. And I don't really want loops of threads visible. That's not good, both because you shouldn't have that and also because if somebody else sees that after they buy the plushie and they decide, oh, they just give it a little trim, snip it off, that's the integrity of the ear right there. The whole ear and head will fall off them. Hello, Pick. Yes, frogs? It will depend on how well I think I can do the frog. I haven't heard back from the land plushie or the robot plushie yet for me to continue on with those bits. So I'm doing more busy work today, things to go into the in-person craft market. So potentially, if I feel like I can make that little frog, that design there, if I feel like I can make him without causing more work for myself, then I'm going to go ahead and do that. Normally I was going to wait for that to be like after I finished a couple more projects so that I didn't have another project that I was starting up. But this is apparently just chaos hours here. And I can't really, I can't work on the robot or Lan, the pup dragon, the robot pup dragon. I have a dog pattern that I need to write up some information about to price out, figure out how much that actually would cost for someone else. I have the Lilo and Stitch OCs that I don't want to do on stream. So tomorrow I'm not streaming it. I'm not streaming on Fridays, but I'm going to work on Stitch tomorrow, just off stream. I do have 2 Cult of the Lambs to make, but they're not due until the end of the month. And I do need more stuffed animals to sell, to make money. Money is great. I like money a lot. Money helps you live. So I'm gonna finish up at least these bats here. I may then make some of the other bats that I've pre-cut the fabric for. If not, I'm gonna start with the frog, and if I can make the frog without creating a lot more work for myself, then I'll do that. I'm going to try after stream today to finish the baby quilt that I'm working on. That's going to take a while. It'll probably go into tomorrow as well, but that'll be one more project that's out of there. Yeah. So that's where I'm aiming for right now. Oh, this one here. This is Nova. This is, I think, my second most popular bat. I have another bat named Luna Moon that is a very light purple with a lighter colored galaxy in the wings. Luna Moon is so popular, I no longer have any Luna Moons. Nova is my second most popular bat. If I could do minis of any animal quickly and easily, what would I choose? I think the obvious answer has to be moose. So this white one here, and the one I'm currently sewing, this one has crystals in the wings, and then the back is like marbled. So this is supposed to be a geode, like it's a marble rock with the crystals inside. I believe I named this one Amethyst. So, and I think these are also going to be the last two. The fabric that I'm using inside the wings is from Joanne Fabrics, and I don't think they make this fabric anymore. They do make a slightly similar one, but it's like this one's like a blue purple. They have like a solid blue one that I can't find in my local stores, but I could order online. Um, but I think these are going to be the last two amethyst bats I make. I may in the future make other like gemstone bats just for all the different birthstones, but for now it's just these little guys here. I don't know who the sketch actually is of. I kind of picked, well, the color I had last selected was that purple body color, and then I want to do just some fancy pattern in the wings. So I kind of made it like spacey themed, put some stars on it, but it's not actually any of the bats that I make. I just made a random bat. Hi, Sunday. How'd the house thing go? And there we go. Okay, there we go. Oops, I'm gonna put that over there. There's two my geode bats. They are now sewn up and good to go. So sewing the heads on really doesn't take that long. It's the time it takes is really just me like avoiding it. You received a quote from the person. Is it a good quote? Is it one that you're willing to pay? Oof. Yeah, we haven't even started looking for a house to actually own. We've just rented our entire adult lives. Oh, it's a family home though. Ooh, that's awesome. Oh, okay. So if you rent out the apartments, you can, yeah, you can at least make some money. But okay, so the house is gonna help pay for itself at least, slowly over time. Yeah, no, I've moved a couple of times. I keep moving steadily farther away from where I grew up. I don't think I would want to go back to that area. It was a very, very small town, and I'm not wildly keen on the uh the the politics of the people there. Just not exactly aligning with my own values. Uh and each time we've moved, it was be like, okay, well, we'll rent for a year, and then we'll consider what we're gonna like looking for a house or something more permanent afterwards. But each time it's just been like, ah, no, we can't actually stay in that area. This is just a temporary place. And it's been a temporary place for like going on 10 years now. So, yeah, even the place we're currently in, unless something drastically changes with my husband's job, we're probably not going to be able to stay here long term. Like, it's a good job. He's getting more experience and stuff for his resume, but because we live in a broken ass country, health insurance is tied to your employment, and currently his job doesn't cover the medical expenses that he needs to stay healthy. So this is going to be interesting. Fighting with insurance so that he doesn't get incredibly sick and hospitalized. So if they won't change something about that, he literally won't be able to live at this job for long term. So we won't be able to stay in at this job. He won't be able to stay at this job. And apparently a lot of the insurance companies in this area of the country just won't cover his expenses. So we won't be able to stay in this part of the country if they don't. It's also the real fun fact of we didn't know that they weren't going to cover it until he got the job, because they don't ever tell you those details until you're actually a customer. So that all sucks. From the monkey picture, I remember that monkey picture. That was in, I think, Discord, right? Oh, no worries, Killer Panda. Like, if you just want to lurk all day, that is fine. I am not doing anything super exciting right now anyway, so you could probably walk away for half an hour and come back, and I'd be at the exact same point. The purple bat, the one that I drew, or the ones with the purple wings. Do I even have the Luna Moon fabric anymore? Let me see. I do not have the Luna Moon fabric, I don't think, but because Galaxy Bats are so popular, and also I really like the Galaxy look, I have a lot of space fabric. So I have, this is approximately the color of the Luna Moon wings. And oh, that looks very similar to the bat that I drew down there. Ooh. I totally did that on purpose. I knew that I had that piece of fabric. Look, it's even got the little white stars bits there. I've got constellations as well. Not a lot of this one. The zodiac constellations. Not a lot of that fabric though. That's probably enough for 3, 4 bats. This one has glitter in it, so that's fun. This is all that remains right now of the Nova Bat for his wings. Not many. It's a photorealistic Galaxy one. And just a bunch more. I probably won't use that one for bat wings, but that one was pretty cool. Deer with the stars and everything, the night sky in them. Yeah, bright orange constellations. That was fun. Yeah, so whenever I go shopping and there is like space fabric, I must pick up some. It's a curse. And some of this I will actually use for bats. Some of it, I am making a quilt with a bunch of these fabrics. That has been in progress for about 5 years now. But eventually I'll get to that one. That one's packed away, so it's not actually causing issues and taking up space in my craft room right now. And I have had this fabric, I have had this piece of fabric literally since I was in high school. So that was before 2007. I graduated high school in 2007, so I have had this fabric since then. It is just this dark blue with all the little glitter bits on it. So all the silver here is just glitter. It does come off, so it's kind of the reason I haven't been using it all that much. It's not super high quality fabric, but eventually I'll find something to do with this, and then it will shed its glitter everywhere that isn't in my craft room. The orange bat might be interesting to make just because it is so different from all the other space bats. I have a 1/4 yard of that one. So let's see, how many bats can I make in the 1/4 yard? I have a terrible, terrible memory, so I just write everything down. Let's see. Bat project. I can make 4 bats in a 1/4 of yard. So I could make 4 orange bats. Oh, I could do an orange, like the body and everything be orange and then white inside. Yeah, so I do not have the fabric for Luna Moon anymore. Luna Moon, I might have a picture of her up online, though. Let me see what I have on my website. Um, do I have a Luna Moon? I do. Let's see if that works. Yeah, so Luna Moon looks pretty close to the one that I drew down there in the corner. But for now, that is just a, wait, whoops, bring these guys back in frame. That is just a example map that I made there. I did save that art in a way that if I want to recolor the bat, I absolutely can. And I think I will use that in case somebody orders like a custom bat. Generally, I like to have a listing with a photo or a picture on it. And if that's not available, then I draw something. Yes, you could have a wire put into them. It would have to be before I stitch them up. Like these pre-made ones would be very, very difficult to add a wire to. And it would take a bunch more time. Like right now, a bat takes me under 2 hours start to finish if I'm making just one bat. So I can charge like 2 hours worth of time on here. If you're having me add a wire in, what I basically have to do is before I stitch right here, like to connect the body, I would have to put that wire into the wings and then kind of tack it down in place. So it would probably involve an extra stitch to keep everything in place. So instead of just, let's see, she's got a fairly visible white line there. Instead of just like this upside down V shape to make the wings, I'd probably have another line here and on top to hold the wire down in place. So I'd need to do all of that before I put her body together. And that would probably add at least another half-hour worth of work. So that would bump the price up there. Most of the prices of my bats just have to do with the work time. Like this amount of fabric is just pennies, basically. It is very, very cheap. This is not a lot of like fabric here. But the time it takes me to put together, that's really where all the cost comes from. So if you add wire, then yeah, I'd have to add to that to the price there. Okay, so I'm going to stitch its head down there. Okay, and then along the back. I can pull these guys in to make them here. Headless bat can sit right here. Headless bat will hold on to his own face. There we go. Perfect. Yes, so the ends of wire, in order to keep them safe and not stabby, generally what I do is I fold it back over on itself and then use electric tape to wrap that up together so that the point is not pointing out, it's actually pointing back and then kept in place. Yeah, it took like one dragon that I made that had wings poking out of it, and it was like, ah, damn, I have to take this entire wing apart to fix this again. And I've not made that mistake again. That was one of the first giant big commissions I made. I made a dragon that had a wingspan. Let's see. Yeah, literally that long wingspan. And about that long from nose to the tip of the tail as well. That was 2018, I believe. Right when I started, like before, I've been selling plushies for years. I've been selling them since about 2010. But 2018 was when I really started like actually making custom things and not just little things that I list on Etsy and hopefully somebody buys it someday. That was when I started making like completely custom plushies and things like that. And that was one of my first biggest commissions. And in retrospect, I did not charge nearly enough, but I had a lot of fun making it, and it was super intense, and it was just, I had a lot of fun with it. So it kind of got me started on the whole, holy shit, people will buy plushies from me thing. I could actually do this. And then it took me another 2 years after that to actually start doing it all. Like, start doing the plushies full time. But that was also, that job, I made enough money to put away savings to actually, like, take the leap and, like, potentially fail. So that was important. I needed to build up savings for those 2 years. Ah, tangle in the thread. Go away. Do not tangle. No. The folded over edges on the wire is also for, like, in this case where I'd be going up to the tip. For things like on Gary's robot here, which let me pull that one out, find that bucket. So like on this head here, the antenna is going to be like dead center in here, going down in. In this case, I won't have the edge all folded over. What I will do is there will actually be like a foam something. It'll have a bit of foam in there to hold it in place. So I will just wrap it around like this, around that bit of foam. And so that point will be going down into the plushie, nowhere near the edges. So that'll be safe that way. Do I think I'll try the convention route again? Potentially, yes. I would like to. I think that would be a lot of fun, especially because one of my favorite things is seeing people be like, holy shit, I love this, I want it, because that just makes me really feel happy about like where the plushie's going. So I would very much like to do something like that. The big problem with the conventions is you have to apply in advance, and I applied to 3 different conventions this year, and I didn't get into 2 of them. I got into the 3rd, but it's the same weekend that my brother is getting married. So he's getting married, I think Thursday or Friday, and then the convention starts Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I did not want to do that, so I backed out of that one. But I would like to do that. The big thing is that you need stock. Like, you need to have lots of things pre-made. So if I do get into a convention, I need to know well in advance, because like I can only make like 4 bats a day. Like, it's about 2 hours a bat. If I make a lot of them all at the same time, I can cut it down to about an hour and a half. But I can only make 4 bats a day. So I need lots of planning in advance to make lots of things. And I need a good spread of like the small little guys that don't cost super a lot, and also the big things that would then be like the money makers if people buy them. So it would be like, I need to know in advance. I need to have the stock pre-made, and yeah, it's a lot of logistics to get to a convention. The wire end caps, like what kind of wire end cap? I've seen the kind that are like the rubber that you heat up and it shrinks to go around the wire. Is that what you're talking about? Otherwise, if you could share me a link, that would be cool to know. Yeah, if you could share a link, or like send it to me on Discord, something like that. That would be really cool to know. I always love finding new little tips and tricks for things I can do in plushies. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that that actually existed. Neat. Okay. Literally just a little cap for the end. Ah, okay. I'm gonna put that in a new tab. I'm gonna save that for later, and I'm going to go and investigate some of those probably later tonight. Yeah, gonna find one for the thickness. Yeah. Um. Yeah, I've got a couple different gauges of wire on hand. Well, I probably won't need 10,000 of them. But I'm sure there are other sources that I can get fewer from. Yeah, I think, let's see. The thinnest wire I've worked with is, I think, 26 gauge. And that was just to add a little bit of stability to something where it still needed to be flexible. It just didn't, like, instead of having it swing randomly and wildly, I wanted a more predictable swing. And then the giant dragon that I made, that one I had I think it was a 12 gauge wire. Basically, it was just a tube. It was so thick. Most of my plushies, God, what are they doing outside? Lawn people outside being very noisy. Good lord. Yeah, I think most of the plushies I use like usually about 22, 20, 22, 16 if I need it to be really thick, like super durable. Those are usually my gauges that I grab. But the wingspan on that original dragon was giant, and it definitely needed more support than what I could originally give it. That one, the wings were like fully wired so that the wire went all the way to the tip and then down each of the finger bones all the way through. And then it had wire in the tail as well so that you could pose the tail around. Oh, 7:40. That is too early to be out mowing. People who are awake that early in the morning are crazy. Like, how? How are you capable of being awake that early, let alone doing, like, work? Good Lord. You wake up at 5 a.m.? No. Nope, 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 nope. I wake up at 7. I am usually actually awake at 8. And I am a functional human being at about 9. I am not a morning person. I wish I could be, but it has never worked out for me. Just my brain does not work early mornings like that. Yeah, that's why I would like to be able to wake up early to just get a fresh start on the day and get everything done super early and then like be done with all the chores and everything by the time the rest of the world is up and starting up. Um I can't. It does not work for me. I can stay up late and do things up late. That's where my brain likes functioning. But early morning, nothing works out. I in college I took several classes that were like at 8 a.m. and it was so hard for me to get up and be functional there. It was not a good idea. I should have like instead of trying to force myself, I should have just like understood that I wasn't going to work that early in the morning and like taking later classes instead of really struggling and like not doing well in them. But I really did want to be a morning person, get things done, and it's just nope, that's not who I am. Max 10. Okay, 10 is when I start getting ready for bed. Like I turn off the TV, I put things away, clean up at 10, and then I'm usually going to bed at like 11. And that's just because again, we're getting up at like 7 the next morning, which is way too early for me. If I had my way, I'm usually up till midnight. Like that's when I get tired. Okay, there is Nova. He's all done. I'm going to do this one next. That way I can put enough black on for both of them onto one needle. I don't think I have enough yellow here. No, that is not going to be enough yellow for that little bat. That's not enough for almost anything. Probably should not have kept that one. Yeah, having a schedule for brains. Yeah. I have alarms set on my phone that go off every so often just to remind me what time it is because I get like lost in doing things or I forget what time it is and like then 3 or 4 hours pass and it's like where the hell did the time go? So I actually have an alarm on my phone at 10 p.m. to remind me that like go put your shit away, go to bed. Yeah, I have alarms at well, I wake up at like the alarm starts going off at 6:30. It gets loud enough that I know it's at 7. I have an alarm that goes off at 8 to actually be like, okay, get out of bed and get up. And then I have a alarm that goes off at 10 in the morning so that I remember to go take pills and everything. And then I have another alarm at 8 p.m. because that's when our pet rabbit gets fed, and he's usually alerting us to the fact that it's time to eat at like 6:30. So he's always wrong. He's pretty good about time. He knows in the evening when he's about to be fed, and he's usually hungry at like 6:30, and then he jumps up to where he gets his food. He waits for that at like 7:30, and then we feed him at 8. So I have an alarm that goes off at 8 so that he cannot trick us into getting his food early. And then I have an alarm for me at 10 to go to bed. Oh, awesome. Okay, I am going to pin this guy, and then I will go over and open that one in a better tab, or a second tab, and I will check those out tonight. I'll also see if our local hardware store has anything like that. Oh, you said, okay, send on Discord. Fantastic. Thank you. Oh, I didn't put the thread through the front. Oh, well, that's going to make it a little bit more difficult, but whatever. It's fine. Oh, don't lean over. Sit back. Sit back. You're fine. This gold's a little bit darker, but my only options of thread are this dark gold and bright yellow, so I'm going to go with the darker gold on this one. Generally, you don't see the threads unless I do something super wrong, but I do like to try and make them at least match a little bit. I need that much thread. Okay. So now I have to find the center of the body, which head's already kind of in the way, but that's okay. Right there. Okay. And again, yeah, I started the center front because if I start anywhere else, the head slowly rotates and I sew it on sideways. It's not great. So I know that I tend to do that. I push one piece farther than I should. So to compensate for that, I start in the center, the most important part, to like keep him looking forward. This bat is named Queenie. No, this is Honey. I had Queenie the bat, and then I ran out of Queenie's fabric, so I made Honey the bat. And now I'm running out of Honey's fabric. So if I make another one, I do have some more bee fabric. I've got blue fabric with bees on it, and then yellow fabric with bees on it. I will have to come up with a new name for one of them. Nope, too much thread there. Okay. Come on, go all the way through. I'm going to be right back. Scooch over to the other side here. Hmm. Okay. So I finally got my little earbuds to connect last night. And it was like, fantastic. They're going to work. This is not for 3 times cursed on these little things. And then I connected them, like put them on my ears, and the battery went from 100 to 0 in about 20 minutes. So I just charged them up overnight to see maybe like I just didn't charge them long enough. They were at 100 this morning. I took them out of the little case. One of them immediately dropped to 50, but the other one was still at 100. And it took 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 27 seconds to die. So they're not good. I will take them back to the store this weekend and try a 4th time, I guess. Or just get a different company at this point because, like, this is frustrating. Especially because my husband has these exact same ones. And he confirmed last night he's had them for like 3 years and not a single problem. So that's annoying. It's just me. I am the cursed one. The gremlins in my technology. Yeah, something bad happened with these guys. I mean, okay, so the very first ones that don't work, that's probably on me because I had them sit around untouched for a full year. But the other two, like, that's not me. I didn't do that. I didn't break those ones. I do have the original one still plugged in just in case. I charged them up and then let them drop down to like 0 battery, and then I plugged them in again, and I haven't tested them yet. I'm going to see what's going on, see if they work again the second time. But something's just wrong with these guys. They hate me. But that does mean I don't get music for today. I had music for an hour. I don't get music, and I won't be able to hear any follower alerts or anything like that. Well, I guess that's the only noise I have, but I won't be able to hear that because I have to turn my laptop sits right next to the microphone. It's the only real place I have to put them. And if I turn on the volume there, you hear it in the microphone. And I tested that once, and it was terrible, and I can't do that on stream. It made my ears want to shrivel up and die. Oops, this bat's eyes are not quite straight. What happened to you there? Okay, there we go. I think the fluff inside had pushed one of the eyes, because they do have the stems on the inside. I think it just pushed one of them forward, because those were not lined up, and now they're better. What sort of battery is it, Sunbay? Oh, that's nice. I got the bee right in the ear there. That's total chance when I cut this fabric what patterns end up where. Because I'm usually cutting through 2 or 3 layers at the same time, so I don't actually get to see the patterns and line them up. So just a happy little accident that I got a nice bee right centered in the ear there. This one's got to be a little bit farther up, so that's nice. Not nice as not as nicely centered as that little guy though. Right on the edge there. That's nice. Okay. But almost done with this one. Oop. Okay, honey is good. There we go. Honey bat. Honey bee bat. Honey beat. Yeah. Covered in fluff. Okay, so I have this one to to sew the head onto. And then this one just needs the wing fixed. I think I might use white thread actually. I was going to use black because it's a black body, but I think the white from the wings is going to be a little bit more visible, so I'm going to do that. Wiggle the hole from the pin back in place. There we go. Yep. So, yep, just the edge of this wing here has a little tiny tear in it. I don't know how visible that is, but lithium iron. Okay, lithium iron phosphate. I'll check and see what they have later tonight. Just because I'm curious now. But yeah, I didn't break these guys. This is not on me. I just wish they worked. This is they do not contain harmful heavy metals as cobalt and nickel. Okay. Better than other lithium ion even. Okay. Yeah, I knew the nickel cadmium were not great batteries. I don't think I've really looked at batteries beyond that though. Okay, so for this guy, I'm using a very small knot, and I'm going to try and get inside here. And even though the issue is right at the edge, I am going to go back some and sew a little bit farther back, just to make sure that I catch everything and he's not going to fall apart again. So just got to be very careful here. Whoop, whoop, that was not careful. That was not careful. Essentially, I just tied a tiny little knot on the inside of the wing there, so I'll be able to sew from that knot there. And hopefully stitch down that hole so it doesn't cause any more problems. I do want to hide the end in there, so I need my... Oh, I forget the name of the tool. My pinchy guys. I need my pinchy guys. I'm going to push that in there. Okay. Oh, communication errors with little kids. Yeah, they make noise. These are going to be some of the tiniest stitches ever. Essentially, I'm only grabbing like 2 or 3 little like the threads in the fabric at a time, because I want to have a very, very tiny stitch to hold everything together. I don't want any chance of it falling apart again. Forceps, yep, that's the one. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Killer Panda. Well, I hope you guys can talk it out and it gets better and you're feeling better. Tuck those ends underneath. I didn't notice this hole in the wing until I'd already sewn the entire body together. Otherwise, what I probably would have done was flip the wing again and just stitch it up from the inside to make sure that it was extra secure. But once I put in these lines and the side of the body and everything, it's impossible for me to flip the wing and do that stitching afterwards. So yeah, kids are I like kids a lot. Especially as a concept. I think kids are wildly creative and just little sponges of knowledge, and the way they look at the world is so weird and unique. It's fantastic, and I love it. They're so entertaining. But I also get really overwhelmed easily, especially when there are like multiple noise sources or people are talking over each other, and that's what kids do a lot. Yeah, the best kind of kids are the ones that you can give back to the parents at the end of the day. But yeah, kids, they're entertaining and they've got such a way with thoughts. Just the things they think of is like, why? What logic came to that? And there is no logic. It's kids. They don't have a logic yet. They're inventing a logic as they go. So that the things they think of are just so entertaining. But also they are so overwhelming. Yeah, something that I do with my husband every once in a while is just like this is not a good conversation for over text or when one person is thinking. So it'll just be like, hey, let's put a pin in this until later. And not in a mean sort of way of like, I don't want to talk about this right now. It's more like, ooh, this conversation would go better when we're both in a different situation. So pin it and come back. Yeah, see, I like big dogs too. Like, we had my family had a German Shepherd mutt when we were growing up, and I like German Shepherd type size dogs there. Those guys are nice. But also, husband is allergic to dogs, so I won't have that. Oh, Roddy. Rottweilers are good dogs too. My brother adopted a Rottweiler. Well, a Rottweiler adopted my brother, but that was after I moved out of the house, so I didn't get to like live with him. I just got to visit. I was already in college and living elsewhere. But yeah, that was Brody. Brody the Roddy. He was fantastic too. He had abandonment issues from his previous family, so he would find something that smelled like humans whenever he was left alone, and then he would take it with him like a security blanket. Although sometimes it wasn't a security blanket, sometimes it was a security fork he pulled off of the kitchen counter. Yes, big dogs in apartments are also tough. Yeah, dogs need a lot of space. And dogs only travel on the floor for the most part. Like sometimes they'll jump on furniture, but mostly they just travel on the floor. Cats will go vertical. So you get extra space for cats. Whatever space you have, it counts double because they go up as well. Ooh, a flea house? Ooh. Yeah, fleas are not fun. Dog gets on your bed after you lay a sheet for her. Aww. Oh, she's so well trained. What a good girl. Well behaved, well trained. Yeah. I'm surprised that Max listens to anyone. I'm always surprised when any cat listens to anyone. That is like they choose to listen. Cats definitely have like I live in the house and allow you to stay here with me type energy. We did have a bunch of cats when I was growing up too. We had a lot of animals in my home growing up. We had when I was a kid, we had a dog, the German Shepherd Mutt. We had three cats, and we had various hamsters and guinea pigs. I think my brother had some mice for a while. We had fish in a fish tank. So a bunch of animals, and then I moved out to go to college. Met my then boyfriend, now husband, who is allergic to almost anything, everything. So we didn't have pets for a really long time, and it was really hard not having something fuzzy in the house. So I'm really glad that like we've got a Rex rabbit now, which are all but hypoallergenic. There's no cases of people being allergic to the Rex fur. They were bred specifically for their weird fur, and like they're good for that. And so he's not allergic to him. Not allergic to rabbits as far as we know, and especially not allergic to our current rabbits. And that man has an ego and a personality, and oh boy, he thinks he's a cat. Scroll back up a little bit. A sheepdog. Yeah, it's like when animals pass and it's just like I loved you, but like I understand that this was for the best, and it doesn't make it any easier at all. But it does make it, I don't know, more of a sweetness thing. Yeah. Used to use the spray ball on Max. He refused. He wouldn't move when you sprayed him. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's cat behavior. Cats have such big personality. Yeah, cats are criminals. Every single one of them. They are criminals. Sunbae, what kind of a dog is she? And what's her name? She licks your knee to go outside. Oh, that's great. Our dogs would go, oh, Shih Tzu. Oh, okay. Oh, that's fantastic. She sounds adorable. I love Shih Tzus. Okay, so I'm a huge fan of big dogs. I like small dogs still. Like small dogs are still fine, but Shih Tzus are like amazing. Shih Tzus and Pomeranians, I think, are my favorite two of the smaller type dogs. Yes, personal, definitely how you raise them as well. Yeah. Pikachu the Pomeranian. Okay. My sister just got a new puppy. She's got a dog named Arwen from Lord of the Rings, and then another. Her brand new puppy is named Rosie Cotton, also from Lord of the Rings. There, fantastic. Those ones are. Oh, I don't know what Arwen is. I think she's just a golden retriever. Um, and then Rosie is golden. Oh, I don't remember. Golden Shepherd, Golden Husky, Golden something big dog. But she's still a very tiny dog. She's got big paws and she throws them everywhere. She is adorable. Big puppy energies. Okay, I will check Discord later tonight. I definitely want to see her. Yeah, old age. Yeah. It's sad that animals don't live as long as people do. You have to say goodbye to so many good girls and boys. 18. Wow. Yeah, that is old for a dog. My goodness. I think our first dog, I think he was about 15, and we ended up having to put him down because he was just old and he was constantly in pain, so it was kind of just a mercy thing. He was not enjoying anything. So he got a whole bunch of chocolate cake, and then we took him to the vet, and everybody was there. I think he was 15, but yeah, it was definitely the right decision. It didn't make it any easier, but it was the right thing to do. He had a very good last day. Yeah, he got ice cream and chocolate cake, which you can't give dogs chocolate normally. As much as they love it, they can't have chocolate. So he got chocolate on his last day. Yeah, you can't, yeah. Just because you want a dog to stick around, or any pet really. Like if they're suffering, it's tough, but it's the right choice. And I think it takes a lot of courage too to have to like make the conscious choice. Like that takes a lot of strength to be able to say like I'm going to do the thing that hurts me because it's the right thing to do. So, mad props for the people who do that. Okay, this is my last ear on the bat. Topic change. After I finish this ear, I'm not going to put the name tags on them for the price stickers and everything quite yet, just because I want to take pictures of these guys. So they'll be done for the day. I do need to like my camera set up and everything for taking pictures. My light box is all in a different room, so that would be later on this evening after I'm done streaming. So the next thing I have to do is either frog or more bats. Anybody have an opinion on what they want to see? Frog. One vote for frog. Or are we doing first come, first serve? Two votes, frog. Three votes. Okay, I'm doing frog. With frog, depending on how far I get in, if I can make the entire pattern for the frog, there'll probably be an embroidery design on it, and I'm going to use the little plastic eyes like I do for the bats for the frog. But the back design will probably be embroidery, so we'll get to test and see if my stream can handle my crazy embroidery program. Okay, there's the last ear. Yeah, it did handle it fairly well last time. It slowed down on my end, though. From what I'm used to the program working, it was going a little bit slower there. So hopefully it'll work. I have more things closed. I don't have as many programs up and running on my laptop this time. So hopefully it'll be good. Okay, so there's my wedding ring bat. This is Duke. I've got Duke, which is the black bat with the wedding rings, and then I make a white version, which is Duchess with the white fabric and the same wedding rings on the inside. Strangely, I thought you could sell them as like a pair, like wedding bats. I have never sold two of the same bats at the same time. So like nobody has ever bought a pair of the wedding bats. So his ear's coming out. Ooh, okay, before I fix Frog, I'm going to tack down that ear. Man, this guy just got all sorts of issues. What was I doing that day? His wing was broken, his ear's not attached fully. My God. I'm a professional. Okay, again, I'm doing a really tiny knot because this is going to be visible on the front of the bat. Because everything else is already sewn together. Ugh. Yeah, this bat's not having a good day. This bat does not want to be sold. This bat wants me to keep him with me forever. Ugh. Okay, so tiny knot, and then I'm just looping it back through the thread. And hopefully that knot will just blend in with the fuzz there. But oh my goodness. Bat, what are you doing? I'm doing a couple little whip stitches, which is just from one side out and then back to the original side and out to make like a little loop around it. Just to hold the edge of the ear steady. Because now I have to go and tack that down to his head. Apparently I didn't stitch it in properly the first time around. My God. Bat! Ugh. Tiny stitches. Again, with the cotton fabric, it's got to be tiny stitches, otherwise they become visible. Ugh. There's a tiny little surgery on this guy. I wonder what other parts I'm going to discover are falling apart. Like, does he only have one eye? Did I forget to put 2 eyeballs on him? Okay, ear is in place. I'm going to check the other ear. He does have 2 eyeballs. That wing looks fine. His legs are attached. There's no holes in his toes. Okay, tentatively I can say that he's all done. Who knows, though? I'll set him down and look back in an hour, and he'll be like falling apart at the seams. Ah, Duke. Okay. Ear attached. Hopefully permanently. Oh my gosh. There's my bats. Okay. So that'll be nice. I still have some of these bats, the Duke bats, available for sale at the market. I do not have Amethyst the geode bat. I do not have Honey the bee bat. And I think I just sold my last Nova 2 days ago. So I'll have one more Nova to drop off. Um, I don't know. I don't have a lot more of this fabric though, and I don't know if I can get more of it. So I might have to retire Nova's design and go on to a different one of my space fabrics. So we'll see. We'll see. For now, all of these guys get picked up. And I'm going to go put them in my little tote bag with all the other finished guys that need pictures. And frog time. Okay. Frog. Yes. Froggo time. Put these guys away. I'm not going to be sewing this guy for a little bit. I can turn on my sewing machine though, because if I get to that point, I will have to sew them together. I can hang up my tools so they're out of the way. Pins and sharp things go away. And pencil. Where is my pencil? Oh no. Okay. Well, this pencil doesn't have any lead. Ugh. My favorite animal is a moose. If that is not obvious by my name. Besides moose, which aren't pets, but yeah. What is my favorite animal beyond moose? There's a squirrel. I think over in Asia, I might be wrong, but there's a squirrel that has got these super vibrant colors. It's like almost purple. I think that's my favorite animal. I was considering making a plushie with those squirrels. I don't remember what they're called. But besides moose, that would be my next favorite animal. Sri Lankan. Yeah, it's a Sri Lankan squirrel. Yeah, I'm trying to find his picture. Yeah, I'm gonna put the link in chat to this guy. Let's see. Ooh, the spiky lizard guys. Yeah, the armadillo. Whatever. The spiky guys that eat their tails. Laziness is tough. So many cool things that you could do if it wasn't just lazy. A sea otter? Yeah, I've never made a sea otter, but I could. I believe even that's not even something I might have to create a pattern for. Choli Knight, one of the most prolific plushie pattern makers online right now. I think she actually has a free pattern for a sea otter. If not free, it's a paid one. So I could just use that pattern to make them. Okay, Froggo. I Okay, so I want to be able to make these easy in an embroidery hoop if I need to. Which means I do have a couple of different embroidery hoops. I've got the 120, which is about 4 by 4 inches. I've got the 150, which is like 5 by 7, no, 6 by 8 ish, somewhere around there. Um, and then I also have my giant hoops that are like 12 inches long, so like 360 millimeters. So I could make a bunch of these different sizes, but if I aim for like the 4 by 4 size at most, I could make them in any hoop. So, well, that's not 4 by 4 there. Let me come down to here. So if I go to here, kind of trace out the shape. So if I make a frog that fits in there, I could then put embroidery on it at any size there. Oh, enjoy your lurk, pick. Hopefully by the time you're back, I shall have a frog. So that's about the size of my smallest embroidery hoop. Which the actual hoop is that size. But it doesn't actually embroider all the way up to the edges. Oh, you're still here. Okay. Cleaning up after the kids. The tornadoes. So if my frog is roughly, and I'm going to make him kind of an oval. So, so I have on my iPad, I do not want to sign in. No, I just want to have my frogs. Go to my frogs. So, like, I have this game. I don't know if that's going to be visible or not. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, all the reflections. Cool. Anyways, it's these little tiny frogs, and they're just kind of cute shaped. Let's see. Is that? Yeah. Terrible with the shine. Oh well. But they've got these little tiny frogs, and they're just kind of cute shaped. So that's what I'm aiming for. Just not super oval, I guess. It's more of like a very fat, triangle-y shape. So that's what I've got to draw now. Oh, rotate, come on. Me and technology, great friends. Come on, rotate. Thank you. Yeah, I think it should be illegal to have for kids to have as much energy as they do. Like, you're small, you should fit less energy in you. So I guess they've got more of a round back going up to the front there. Kind of that shape. And I will fold this in half just to get a completely accurate half there. Like that. So I'll just make sure it's the same on both sides. But as long as it's approximately the same, that's the idea for the body shape. And then they get their little eyes like right here. And let me pull up, I'm going to get my eyes actually out. Let's see if my eyeball size actually works with that. So I have my tiny little ones, my 10 millimeters, that's less than half an inch. An inch is 25 millimeters, so that's 10. That's a little bit smaller than what I drew. That's the same size there. I do have some larger ones, but I need to open them. So how's that for an eyeball size? That one's maybe too big. Well, I do have too small and too large, and when I make the frog prototype, I can poke a hole and try it with both eyes. Or maybe I'll have to get something in the middle. I've got 12 millimeter, which is like half an inch. Maybe that'll be good. Yeah, maybe. I need like a 15, I think. These are 18. I've got 18, 12, and 10. And then I think I have... No, those are still 18s again. I thought I had a 25 or a full inch one, but those would be giant. I got noses. I could put a bear nose for their eyes. That would be interesting. Yeah, so that might be it. So, okay, so I've got things that are slightly too big and slightly too small. Like Google eyes? Yes, googly eyes. Okay, my googly eyes are definitely too big. But that's adorable. I will see if I can actually do that. I will, these are not the kind that you sew on. These are the kinds that you just glue or tape to things. But I could glue it onto the plushie and see how that turns out. I have enough of them. I have an entire little bag of Google eyes. Oh, Sunday, you are fine. Look, I forget words in English as well, and I have no excuse because it's my first language. Okay, so I'm thinking that'll be the body. So I want the base to be flat. So I'm just going to cut that shape basically for them. I'll add in a seam allowance around the edge, and then I'll cut that shape out, which I did not include enough seam allowance because I drew right up to the edge. That's going to be fine now. I'm going to cut this out and trace it elsewhere. But then for the actual body, I do want him to be a little bit round. So I think what I'll do is I'll make the body as two pieces, the two pieces like that. Otherwise, I just make two of the same shape and stitch them together. Which I could try and see if that actually works. But I think what I prefer to actually do is I'm going to create an arc shape. And I want this part of him right here to be the fattest, so that's where my biggest arc is going to be. And I'll do that. And we'll see how that turns out. I don't think that drawing right there is going to work. So generally, because Minky stretches, whenever you have an angle like here at the top or the bottom, you want it to be an acute angle, so like a very narrow V. And both of these guys are an obtuse angle, so like bigger than 90 degrees. And so that's not great. So what I might need to do is instead of having his butt come in like this shape, I might have to change it so it's more like that. And then just keep that length the same. Ooh, scary names for the different frogs. Dogs or frogs? Because I don't know any poisonous dogs. Scary names would be good. I should name them like Scarface. Scarface, Hannibal Lecter. That would be funny. Okay, so first thing I'm going to cut this guy out and fold him in half to make sure he's the same on either side. Paper, scissors. I put them away. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I've got those little guys. I'm going to fold them in half. So this half of him is a little bit wider than this half. So I'm going to cut out this one here. That way, if I want to bring him back in and make him less chunky, I can later on. If I cut off too much fabric, it's harder to tape it back into place, though. Oh, dog. Ah, okay. Crystal came over. I mean, that's a good distraction. So there's my frog shape, and it's chunkier on that side. So the line is the same on both sides now. It's not where I drew it though. So yeah, I think that's a good froggy shape. Okay, so now I need to cut him out plus seam allowance. So I use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so I do want to make sure that I have that around each edge. I do pretty much. Okay, so there's my froggy shape. And I'm just eyeballing where the seam allowance should be. Again, if this works out, the next step of what I do is I take the paper and or fabric pattern that I've made, and I will scan it into my computer and do all of the actual measurements there. So if this pattern works, I won't be using the paper version. I will be going into the computer, scanning the right line, and then using Inkscape, which is just a free vector art program, to add a 1/4 inch around the entire outline there. So my computer will do all of the measurement and the finicky work for me. So I have a Bluetooth keyboard, and it doesn't like connecting right away. It goes to sleep. And so whenever I start typing on it, the first couple of letters don't come out until later. So it'll like you start typing and nothing comes out, and then it'll start, and then randomly, like halfway through the sentence, it drops those first letters in. So I don't remember exactly what I was writing, but it was something to the effect of I wrote hello something something something, but really what my keyboard typed for me was oh something 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 hell. Like that's not what I meant. Oh hell. You old? No, I'm not okay. I'm old. Okay, so there more or less is the bottom of the frog. And what I can do to test this and see if it works, I can just put the two pieces, like a top and bottom, together, and we'll see how pancakey it is. And then if that works, fine, perfect, wonderful. If not, I'm going to come back and do that second curve part to see if that's a better shape. And I think I have enough, yeah, I should have enough fabric or paper here to do the pattern piece. So I don't need this one that has my ear test bit on it. So I'm going to get that out of my way. Move these guys up and out of the way. What test fabric do I have? That's fun. Let's see. I have no green or brown, like light brown enough fabric, and I don't want it dark brown because if this works, I do want to trace things out on it and then cut them up and turn them into a pattern again. So I need a light color, so I'm going to go with bright orange for this frog. This frog is toxic and wants you to know it. Yeah, red and orange frog, that would be cute. I was looking up pictures of different frogs like all last night thinking about this. Just like, oh, what color frog do I want? And there are a lot of them that are all the poisonous like rainforest tree frogs, whatever. They're all like black with vibrant color splotches on them, and they're gorgeous. And then there was like a blue one with black spots on its back, and it's like, oh, I love you all. All of our frogs around here are just brown and sometimes like green brown. Sometimes you find a bright green frog, but they're not the same as the poisonous ones. They're not nearly as cool looking. Okay, so just a really quick trace of this guy. Just top and bottom. And fabric scissors. I'm actually cutting this out with scissors, not with my rotary blade, because I don't want to unfold it. I'm lazy. It was all nicely folded. It's got multiple layers. I don't want to cut through it all. And I didn't want to unfold it to make it flat. There we go. Now I can use my rotary cutter. Okay, there we go. There's my two shapes. That's a good sized frog. I'm going to take that to my sewing machine. And I'm going to stitch that up. It's going to just be a real quick stitch around the edge. If this doesn't work, I want to be able to use one of these as the base for the new body. So I want to be able to tear it apart very quick. Well, it helps if you have thread. Pancake acquired. Okay, so there is my just top and bottom exactly the same. And then I'm going to stuff him. I'll see how frog-shaped he comes out. Well, I didn't sew perfectly straight, so he's kind of lumpy on one side, so whoops to that. But this side here is looking pretty good. He's still not super round, like he's very much a hamburger right now. So I think I might want a little bit, like the bottom half of him being this puffy is fine, but I think I do want the top part of him to be a little bit puffier. So I am going to make two pieces for the top, I think. Yeah. Okay, so he's going to sit there for right now. I'm going to get my tools out of my way. I don't need them again. Hang all those up. Paper. Okay. And I think this curve that I made is not going to be the right amount of curve. So what I might do is just draw a similar-ish line. So I traced part of his side right here. But then about this point and this point, I moved away from his line to just go out. So that I then can make this curve here, but with those points that I was talking about earlier. So let's see. I want to first make sure that the line is the right length to get to that halfway point. So starting where the lines diverge, I'm going to just rotate them around. And it's too short, so it has to go to about here. So that line has to extend to here so that it matches up. And then we come back to here, that all lines back up. And then rotate around. Let's see, where's that? Okay, so it goes to here. So that's my side line. This curve right here is the same length as half of a frog. So I'm going to do a version of the comic plushie with a top hat. Yes, I should make a tiny top hat, and then I could just put it on everything. Whatever I'm working on, I just put tiny top hats on them. So I need one that's sized for a bat. I need one sized for a narwhal. Ooh, I have to make it so it fits around their horn. I need a big one for when I'm working on things like Lan or the robot. This could be a lot of fun. Okay, so there's my curve. Let me get rid of the other lines just because I want to have that nice and clean look. So there we go. That's the curve from the side of the frog. Just the adjusted curve. And then I do want him to be chunkiest right here in the middle. So this is where the center point, like the widest point of my curve needs to be. So if his normal side is right about here, like that's about where he'd normally be. I'm gonna want to maybe. So I don't want a very big angle right here. In fact, that might even be a little bit bigger than I want, but I'm gonna come up like this. And then from here, again, a very, very like small angle there, and a very gentle curve, because I want the most of the curve to be like that center of his back area. Narwhal with a little bow tie, that would be cute. Yes, I need to make all of my plushies dapper. So that's actually part of the reason I changed the name that I go on. I used to sell plushies under like my username Clockwork Moose because I like moose and I like steampunk aesthetics. So Clockwork was from that. But I don't make a single like steampunk looking plushie. I guess the closest I have is I have a bat that has like keys in its wings and I put like a little gear on one of its ears. That's the closest I get to anything steampunk. So there's nothing clockwork about any of my plushies. So it's like, well, I have to change my name to something else. And at the time I had drawn my avatar that I used at the time was just like the bust of a moose with he's got a little pipe in his mouth and a mustache and a little top hat. So I was like, okay, well, I still want it to be like this moose, but I want him to be a plushie and I want him to be like cute and very dapper looking. And it was like, oh, well, okay, he's gonna have to be Dapper Moose then. So that's where Dapper Moose over there, Mr. Moustache, that's where he came from. Yes, once I get like a 3D printer, then I can add like hard gears and bits and like all the steampunk type stuff. Once I can make them that way. It doesn't really work in soft plushies though. So eventually. I do, I make the little resin gears, so I do at least have something hard on those plushies and the little gears that works. But that's about it. Okay, I'm gonna write nose and butt. There we go. So that's my nose and that's my butt. I think my seam allowance here is a slightly too big. So I'm gonna cut some of that off. And then I can cut that. Okay, so that's the pattern piece for the top. Okay, I'll see you later, Killer Panda. So I'm gonna unstuff the pancake man. Because again, I already cut out the bottom shape, so I've got that to work with. I don't want to cut out a third one right now. So flip that right back out. And then I can cut off those threads. Got my seam ripper. And I used a long stitch on this so that they should be easy enough to pick out. Normally when I sew plushies, I use like a 2.5 millimeter stitch. This is a 4.5, so it should be much larger and easier for me to see those stitches to pull them out. In theory, sometimes the stitches get a little bit smaller just because the fabric doesn't move through the machine as fast as the machine wants it to move. But nope, that came out nice and easy there. And I just have to get the end. Okay. Okay, that paper can go out of the way. I don't think I have any big enough paper in here for the pattern piece. So that's the end of that piece of paper. And there's my base. So I can actually make 2 test frogs now. No, do not make me cut it open. Okay. Let's see. I really don't want to have to unroll this. So I guess I'm going to just trace it right here. And I want to brush from the nose down to the butt, so that is the proper direction there. I'm going to pattern weight this thing. There we go. I just unfolded a little bit. I'm probably making more work for myself trying to be lazy than it would be to actually just undo it and refold. Welcome back, Panda. Okay, there's my attempt. And these are the 2 sides that I want to sew together. Scissors again to free it. Because I don't want to unfold. Okay, hopefully I don't have to make another test because I will probably have to unfold the next one. Okay, there's my body bits. It goes that way. Okay. Those are the sides I connect. I'm going to take that over to my sewing machine and stitch that up. Okay. Oh no, power outage. Okay, bye. That sucks. Well, there's my body, and it's already very, very round. So I'm kind of happy with that. Let's see what it looks like when it's all sewed together, though. I am going to pin this part because I'm sewing two different curves together. And I need to know where the center point on this guy is. So let's see. I didn't make any marks for the center point because I didn't need it for the first version. They were all the same. Okay, so that's my top and bottom corner, or middle points. So that will be where these points connect. And that is the top point here. That goes right over that red mark, right where the fold, right where the seam is. And then I go to the bottom and I'm going to pin that in place. And then going around. And this isn't, the Minky isn't really fighting me back or anything like that. So I'm just going around and putting a pin every inch or so. So not as many pins as some projects require. Okay. So now I'll sew around the edge of that and we will see what frog shape I have. And again, do not sew over your pins. Okay, well that is my Froggo shape. If I was thinking, I probably should have put the hole to stuff him and flip, or to flip and stuff him on the side rather than the bottom, because that's where one of my seams is. I need to know if that's actually going to turn out right once he's all stuffed and sewn together. Whereas I'm not really concerned about the side seams. That's just a regular old seam there. But I didn't, so I will stuff him, and then if I need to, I can either pin or sew that entirely down closed to see what kind of shape that will be. Tiny scissors, where did you at? Okay. But at least from the start, that does look like the shape I wanted. I wanted him to be widest right here, and that does look good. So I'm kind of happy with that. Now I need the stuffing. And yeah, you can actually see I've got some fairly large stitches going through there, and I used the blue thread, so you can actually see them in the seam there. Maybe if you can see them, I can see them on in real life. I don't know if you can see them on the camera, but there are some big stitches visible there. That is much too large of a stitch to make for an actual plushie. But it works really well for anything I have to tear apart later, because I can see the stitches even from the top, so I can tear them out much easier. Okay, so there is my frog shape. He's still kind of flat on the bottom, so I really like that. His top is very curvy. His face might be a little bit too much, though. I might want to bring him down at a steeper angle. Well, okay, I'm going to stitch them together by hand and see what that looks like. Instead of making a new plushie from scratch to test out a new angle, what I can do is just stitch that seam together differently. And I'll also stitch up the back just to make sure. I want to make sure that this angle turned out right, and it does look like it did. Like, essentially, you want these to look like a right angle. So you want this to come down straight into the bottom piece, so it has like a T intersection. And it does look like it's straight. It doesn't look like it's pulling up at all to like make it a Y shape. So I think that will work out fine. But I am going to stitch it down just to make sure. And then I will stitch to get rid of some of the fabric here to see if I can make his face shape a little more extreme angle down to his nose there. Because his face is just a little bit too lumpy, and I do want it to just go down and angle. I think that would just, the shape, I think, would be a little bit more pleasing to what I'm looking for. Like, this is probably fine as is, but I do want him to go down just a little bit. I really want his back to be really chunky there. Especially because he's not going to really have legs like a frog would. He's just going to have, like, the little flat legs. They're in the other room. Like the bats, where they're just little legs sewn on the bottom. So I really want him to have, like, that stylized shape to him. So, okay, needle and thread, let me grab those. I put them away. Oh, the penguin, the one that looks like he's like sliding on his belly? I love that one. All of Choli Knight's patterns are absolutely adorable. I don't think there's a single one that I don't like at least a little. They're just really cute. She is a very good plushie pattern maker. She is my hashtag goals. Okay, yep, so I sewed the butt together. That does look like a good shape. It's nice and flat, just like I want it, based on my little lily pad pond of frogs. It's got a nice flat bottom. And then I just want to make that face go a little bit better angle there. So I'm going to tie a knot in this one. I'm only doing one knot here, not making it super secure. And I'm getting a little tangle as well. There we go. Don't need the tangle. Do need the knot. Because I do plan on tearing this apart later on. If I make a better angle and I like it, what I'm going to do is tear them apart and then trace those lines on for my next pattern piece. So I'll use the fabric for that. Let's see. I think this is probably enough white thread for this. We'll see, though. So I'm going to start at his nose. And essentially what I'm doing is another ladder stitch. So the same, I'm going across, in and out, across, in and out. But on this one, I'm basically making each stitch slightly wider than the last one. So I'm giving him some really Frankenstein-looking stitches across his nose there. And if all goes well, I can then taper back down to that original seam. There we go. And then when I pull, they all go together. And yeah, I think that's a little bit more what I'm looking for. It's just a steep climb up his face there. I think that's what I want. I need to fix this little tip here, though. It's a little bit too steep still. So I'm going to just pull that in just a tiny bit more, extend my thread up just a little bit further along his back. Just like 2-3 more stitches. Yeah, that's the shape that I'm looking for. That's what I want. And then I can tie a knot there. Okay, so there is my frog shape. I like that. That's the shape I was going for. Okay. Fantastic. Now I can grab my eyeballs. And, oh, let me put my needle away. I really don't want to lose that anywhere. Even though these are just test plushies, I don't want needles getting stuck in them when it's not supposed to have a needle in them. Okay. I don't need this stuffing anymore. I can put the rest of that away. Let's see how much he weighs. Not even an ounce. He is less than an ounce heavy. 23 grams. Fantastic. That is a tiny little guy. Okay. Okay, so he uses, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 12, 16, 18, 20, 20-ish. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Okay. 60. So this is about 80 cents worth of material and stuffing. 80 cents American. About 80 cents American. Less than $1 American of stuffing and fabric. So most of the cost of this guy will just be how quickly can I make them. So, and I put together the test fairly quick. Eyeballs are a penny each when I buy them in bulk, so that's really not going to add to the cost. That is 2 cents right there. So really, the majority of this cost is just going to be how fast can I make these little frogs, and what other extras do I put in them? Because they're less than $1 of material. Okay, so where do I want the little eyes to be, and where is my pokey stick? Actually, if I center it, if I put the eye directly in the center, that might work. There. Aw, okay. I think that's about centered. So that is why I use mechanical pencils so often, because I don't even know if I have a pencil sharpener to sharpen pencils with. So I use mechanical pencils just because you can click them and get a new sharp point. So there we go. Those are cute little eyes. So that's a small version of the eyes. Those are the 10mm ones I just tried. Let's see. Let's see what a 12mm looks like. Not super big difference. Obviously, it's a 2 millimeter difference. That is hardly anything. I do have the 18s as well. I can try a giant eyeball. Do I have an open one? Yes, I do have an open one. Okay. This is my 12. I'm going to put my 12 back. This is a... Where's my bag for the 15? Or the... How did I misplace that? Oh, that's... Okay, that's my 10. Yes, okay. 10 is good, then. So this is my 18. Oh, and that's a very big... Oh, I should just do that. One big eye and one little eye. I think I actually like the big eye better. I think that one works better for the little guy because he's supposed to be very chunky and cute. He's not supposed to be super realistic. So I think I like the big eye on him. I'll have to order more size 18 eyes because I think I only have 4 of them. Let's see. I have, those are 15s. Those are noses. Those are 18s. Yeah, I've got 4 of the giant eyeballs for him. So I'll have to order more of those. Maybe when I go to the craft store this weekend, they might have some, although they're... the Joann Fabrics closest to me is tiny. And they don't have a lot of the supplies I need. And I don't want to make a much longer trip if I don't have to. But I do like the larger eye. I think the larger eye works a lot better than the tiny eye. I am, however, going to take a small video of them, the 2 eyes together. There we go. That's called content. I will post that online on probably Instagram this evening. Right? Doesn't he look perfect? Just as is. I should include him with just one big eye and one small eye, and that'll be enough. It'll be perfect as is. Okay, so that's going to be my body shape. My frog bean.